Tim, are you, Commissioner Burns, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Davis on there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Just checking. I'm gonna call the Monday, July 12th, 2021 town meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Future meetings, Board of Appeals meeting will be Monday, July 19th, 2021 at 7:30 p.m. at the town office. Citizen Advisory Committee meeting will be Tuesday, July 20th at the 2021, 7:30 p.m. at the Old Town office. Planning Commission meeting will be Monday, July 26th at 7 p.m. Is that correct? Is it 7 or 7:30? Okay. At the town office. And the next town council meeting will be August the 2nd at 7:30 p.m. here at the town office. And that will be open to the public. The mayor has a statement to read.
Thank you, Commissioner.
There we go. Thank you, Commissioner. Just with regard to the opening of our office, I sent a letter to our landlord, the county, and I sent that on July 7th, and I requested that we start Monday, July 12th, the opening of the town to the public. It's been approved by the county executive, and here's basically what we have as our terms of opening. It's a little before the county really opens, so we're getting a break here. Business hours 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday through Thursday, Friday 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. During town meetings, you're allowed to come here. Enforcement the following: only the entry hallway and service window will be open to the public. This was underway anyway for security reasons before the pandemic. We're just starting to put that in, but yeah, will not be able to go into any part of the office except the hallway there, and the attendant has a service window there to work with the public. Public must wear a face mask when in the building. Public must wear a face mask in the audience of a town meeting. Public may meet with town staff via appointment only. The public will continue to have the option to participate in town meetings virtually if desired. And this was accepted, these terms, by Jan Gardner, county executive, shortly thereafter. So we're open to the public, the service window, and anything else that we're getting there. And we're starting to take a look at appointments. We managed the gym for the county, and we're accepting and setting up meetings for September, so everybody may have a part of using that gym. So that's been approved by the county too for September 1st. So this is online everywhere else, and we'll try to get it everywhere else possible so everybody will understand it. But we are back in business. Good to see you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Good to see you, Commissioner Burke.
Yes.
Over there. Okay. All right. Thank you for your time, sir.
All righty, we're starting with meeting agenda items. Approval meeting minutes for June 21st, 2021. Does anybody have any corrections or anything they need to add to the meeting minutes before we have a motion to accept?
They look good to me, so I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for June 21st as presented.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Ritz. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Burns. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries 4-0, 1. I got you, Commissioner Davis, and 4-0 to 1 absent. Commissioner O'Donnell is not here. Police report. Deputy A. Hall.
How are you guys?
Fine, how are you?
Fine.
So the report for June is 0 burglaries, 2 noise complaints, 2 suspicious activities, 1 assault, 4 AOPDs, that's like assist other agencies, 1 theft, 2 juvenile complaints, 0 frauds, 4 alarms, 2 assist the fire departments, 0 destruction of properties, 6 disorderly conducts. That's from the pool. 3 trespass notices were issued out, 28 911 hangups. It looks like talks cards, they opened up 20 walking patrols, 113 patrol checks, 4 bike patrols. Traffic stats are as follows: 61 stops, 16 violations, 74 warnings, 1 SERO, 0 parking complaints, 0 parking citations, 0 selective enforcements, and 3 collisions happened in town. Arrest for the month would be 1 warrant service, which that happened at the town festival. There's no pending charges on anyone right now. We had 22 request officer calls. White House had 8 court days. Juvenile issues, which is revolving around the same individuals from the pool. They have been taken care of. They've been issued trespass orders and they're banned from the pool, the antique mall currently. Their parents were notified. And we had theft of concrete statues on East Main Street. And that is the monthly report. I've only was back maybe like a week of that. So
Okay.
that's it.
We are glad that you're back.
Absolutely.
A lot of the citizens are glad that you're back.
Thank you.
I do have a thank you letter from Miss Wetzel for you for the mayor had received from the town.
Thank
you. For helping her get her situation under control from the
Oh, no
college
problem.
students.
Yes, welcome back.
Yeah,
Good to see you
back.
again.
glad to be back.
Anybody have any questions for Deputy A. Hall? Commissioner Burns?
No, sir. Welcome back. I know we've talked on several occasions now, so hi.
Nice seeing you again, and well, thanks.
Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Davis, you there?
When you're through, turn it off. That's all.
They're on Zoom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great to have you back.
Thank you. Town manager report is next.
Yes, good evening.
Kathy?
This is, yes, the town manager's report for May of 2021. Before I get started, I have 2 announcements. One, the dog park will be closed this week for maintenance. We've already posted that and shared that. And then we are still in need of election judges. We currently need 2 more. So if anybody's interested, please contact the town office, particularly Maddie Shaw, if you're interested. So I'll highlight the key areas for May. Start with the streets. Related to the streets, staff picked up one street light that was damaged due to an accident. We also repaired the welcome to Emmitsburg sign on North Seaton Avenue. Staff weed eated and weed killed the guardrails on Creamery Road, Welty Avenue, and DePaul Street. They also put flags up around town on the streetlight poles for Memorial Day, Flag Day, Community Day, and 4th of July. Related to the parks, staff put together and installed the bleacher at ballfield number 7 in Memorial Park that was purchased as part of a grant. Staff also completed the bandstand project by installing soffit in Community Park at the bandstand. They also weed ate, weed killed, and put mulch around all the park entrance signs. Related to water, as of May 31st, 2021, Rainbow Lake was at 16.6 feet. It's still holding as of today. In May, we had to bring on well number 3 for 5 days, and well number 4 was brought on for the month. However, well number 1 and number 2 are still low usage because the demand is still low in town. Month of May, we produced an average of 247,508 gallons per day and consumed 233,489 gallons. The difference is backwash water at 10.5%. We purchased 434,580 gallons from Mount St. Mary's in May. Related to wastewater, we treated 446,000 gallons and consumed 233,489 gallons per day, which means 47.6% of the wastewater treated at the plant was wild water. We had no spills of untreated sewage, and we did not exceed the plant's design capacity anytime in the month of May. We received about 3 inches of rain in May. We currently have a deficit of 0.21 inches over the last 6 months, and we'll just continue to monitor that through the summer. Trash pickup will remain Mondays in the month of July. You'll see some of the top meetings and conference calls I attended in May. And some noteworthy items, staff continues to conduct use and occupancy inspections for the new construction in Brookfield. They repaired some water curb boxes in Southgate. All the public works staff attended flagger training refresher class. We did conduct the 6-month hydrant flushing throughout town, and we had 0 complaints. Staff and the contractor also repaired 2 water leaks on Waynesboro Pike. The sump pump at the pressure reducing valve on Fraley Road was replaced. The annual water quality report was submitted to the state, posted online, and sent home with the water bills. And staff continues to work with the contractor on design and preparations for the water clarifier and the water line work. And that is my manager's report.
Okay, any questions for the town manager at this time? Commissioner Ritz,
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Commissioner Burns,
No, sir, not this time.
Commissioner Davis? I don't know if it's on mute or
Nope,
not.
I'm good.
Oh, okay.
There he is.
All right, that's it for, I don't have any either. That's it for the town manager's report.
Thank you.
Commissioner comments? Commissioner Ritz?
We got the town
Oh,
plan.
I'm sorry. I missed the planner. Town planner, I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is the planner's report for May 2021. Under commissioners, I worked on policy 21-02, which was the park fee study results. I assisted the contractor with the impact fee and park fee in lieu of study. I provided them some data. Assisted with preparation of the Irishtown Road Memorandum of Understanding with Frederick County. I also worked with the county regarding an access easement for their creek relief program, which you'll most likely see next month. Under grants, community legacy grant management for the fiscal year 2021 and 22 years. Community Chesapeake Bay Trust grant management for rain barrel program. We're continuing to sell rain barrels at the town office for 50% off. They're $40 a piece. And also the Silo Hill Stormwater Management Basin retrofit design and permitting. We're about to have another community outreach for that, as some of the designs have changed due to bad soil types. So I'll keep everyone posted on that, and we'll make sure it's on Facebook and our website. Community Development Block Grant Management, we held a pre-bid meeting on the 5th. I submitted some documentation for wage determination. I attended a conference call on the 14th with our project manager. We also held a virtual bid opening on the 19th. I processed and reviewed the single bid that we received, and we had to restart the rebidding process due to only receiving one bid, and that's why we canceled it at our last meeting. And I processed the last remaining COVID micro grant. The funds are currently exhausted. Under MS4, we're continuing to work on the Silo Hill Basin. As you can see, the town manager and myself, we had a conference call regarding updates on the design plan on the 6th. Continuing to work on the tree planting project management. Got good news about that yesterday. The Streamlink Education actually received the full 100% grant for the tree plantings. So that's going to save the town at $200,000.
Wow.
So it's a massive savings for us. So we really appreciate Streamlink Education. We completed the stormwater utility feasibility study, RFP, and advertisement. I responded to MDE's comments on the previous year's permit submittal, and I updated the current year permit submittal accordingly. Under permits and zoning, I processed 12 zoning permit applications. 2 of those I'll discuss. We did 5 new single-family dwellings in Brookfield, and 1 change of use. We have a new business, Dynamic Automotive at 20 Creamery Way. There's 19 lots remaining in Brookfield and 5 remaining in Southgate at this time. I processed 33 backflow preventer permits. Just a reminder, everybody, please get your backflow installed. Contact me with questions. Process 1 personal use firewood permit application. I mailed 3 high hazard backflow renewal reminder letters, responded to various incident reports for Planning Commission. Rutter's Irishtown Road, Federalstone East Industrial Park project management for East Industrial Park. I received, reviewed, and prepared staff memos for their delineation plan, their forest conservation plan, and also their subdivision plat. Under Irishtown Road for Brookfield's lot 1 through 19, I assisted with various legal documents such as the Public Works Agreement, the Patel Easement Agreement, Landscape Agreement, Temporary Grading Agreement, and also attended multiple conference calls regarding these plans. Attended the May Planning Commission meeting, and under miscellaneous forestry stand 6 and 10 project management. And that's the noteworthy items, Mr. Vice President.
Any questions for the town planner at this time? Commissioner Ritz?
I have one question. It's not specifically for your report, because I know we're looking at May, so I'm
Sure.
thinking about June right now, so you'll eventually get to this, but I did notice that the Emmett Ridge 2 property is listed for sale again. It's no longer pending. Have there, since DR Horton walked away from it, have there been any more developments? I know Mr. DeMitt was interested, but
Yes.
and any other interest in the property?
Yes, I have had a couple calls asking about the property. Mr. DeMitt, I believe, has a contract on the property right now,
Oh, okay.
so I believe it's pending.
Okay, good.
At
The
this time.
website still said for sale. but
Right.
Sometimes
It takes a while
to
sometimes.
catch up. Oh, that's
Yeah.
good.
I
Okay.
spoke with Mr. DeMitt about a week ago,
Okay.
and he's working with the property owner right now to get an
Great.
agreement signed. So,
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
That's all I had.
sure.
Commissioner Burns, you have any questions for the town planner?
Yes, sir. Not at this time.
Commissioner Davis? Commissioner Davis? I have one, Zach.
Sure.
The new homes that are going in now, are they make sure they get the backflow preventer put on as they put the houses in?
Yes, as Ms. Willett stated, Jimmy and his guys do an occupancy permit
Okay.
review, and that's one of the checklist items.
Okay.
So they have to have that completed.
Well, that way, homeowners don't have to worry about it.
That's actually a really good point. And if anyone from Brookfield is actually listening, please contact me. The previous contractor never submitted those permits. So that's because we didn't have it required at that time.
Right.
However, the county still required it. So most of the properties in Brookfield most likely have their backflow permit installed already. So if they would just take a picture of it and send it to me, we'll get them checked off the list. So
Okay.
thank you for bringing that up.
All righty.
Commissioner Sweeney,
Commissioner
can I follow
Burns.
up with that?
Yes.
What about Southgate? Do you know, you mentioned Brookfield about them having to install it, this county related. Do you know if Southgate was involved in that as well? Do you know if they, to check those off the list as well, we have to take a picture of anything, or
Yeah, I
do you know
know.
any details on that?
Yeah, most of those houses, I believe, well, all the houses, I believe, are over 15 years old. And I don't know the county requirement goes back that far. However, if you just look around your water meter and if you see a little tiny device, we have a picture of it on our, I think our newsletter that Terry just sent out this week. Just send me a picture. But yeah, you guys probably should have something out there existing.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Moving on, commissioner comments, Commissioner Ritz.
Mr. Mayor, it looks like he wanted to say something.
No, you're right.
Okay, all right. Yeah, just a few things tonight. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you to County Executive Gardner for allowing our town office to open early before her proposed dates in her transition plan. I know at the last meeting, I was a little confused. It seemed to me that the plan was pretty much a done deal, and although we voted on it that night, the outcome of that, to me, at least the way I took it, almost seemed like a moot point. So I know I became a little upset at that meeting. So I just wanted to publicly apologize to Ms. Gardner for calling her ridiculous at the last meeting. She has proved that she is very reasonable. So thanks again for opening the office early. I want to thank all, because there are too many names to mention, but to thank all and everyone involved for a successful 2021 Community Heritage Day. I want to personally thank the town manager and town staff for continuing to decorate Emmitsburg with our nation's flag. Unfortunately, there are some folks that find our flag offensive and say that it might stand for something else, that it might have a hidden agenda. So I hope that we continue to decorate our town for federal holidays, days of remembrance, and community events. And finally, I attended a taste test at Ripley's Ice Cream with Commissioner Davis and some local residents. I've been back several times since it's opened. Very good. And I encourage everyone else to try it out if they haven't already. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the time, and just kind of follow up with Commissioner Ritz said. Congratulations to Ripley's Ice Cream, to everyone at Wookie Walkers, to everyone at Mason-Dixon Mixon as well, for their grand openings. Sorry about that. Grand openings, as well as the success of their business. Hopefully we continue to see more people visiting those local establishments. I know Ripley's has had a lot of people. I know Wookie Walkers has had a lot as well. So hopefully we can see continued success for them as we go forward. And, maybe that'll open up some things for future businesses that want to come into town as they see the success of new businesses that come in. Second, I don't know if Commissioner Davis is on, but I want to thank the volunteers in Emmitsburg's fire company. I don't think we realize how lucky we are to have the group of people that we have working so tirelessly around the clock, all hours of the day, responding to all the different fires, all the different emergencies and things of that nature. Not only for our community, but the surrounding communities in Franklin, Adams County, Carroll County, down in Thurmont. These guys are going out of their way early in the mornings, late at night, being the first ones on the scene for fires, and, really, I think showing just how class of an organization that, Commissioner Davis and the rest of the group there have really put forward. And then finally, Commissioner Sweeney and I were at the pool last week. I think it's been unbelievable, the turnout that's been at the pool. Commissioner Sweeney's had the snack bar open. It's been getting a lot of good use and stuff like that. And something I just wanted to throw out there for possibly next year. I think it's been great that we've added the lounge chairs for that, but the possibility of in the future, in the grassy area that's up by the fence and around the splash pad, about adding some cemented areas, not cement blocks, but things, cemented areas where we can add like sun flags that, different people can come and grab as they see fit. We only have the one pavilion there, and on those super hot days when that sun's out and beating down, you have a lot of families that have young square on those few picnic tables that are available. So something we all as a town might want to think about for the future as we try to improve that pool and have more opportunities for people to come. If we could put in some kind of system where we could, have flags there, or not flags, I'm sorry, umbrellas that people can use, post up, and, just provide a little bit of shade, especially on these super hot summer days. Thank you.
If I could add, Commissioner Sweeney.
Yes,
I think Maddie could speak to that, but I believe we have umbrellas on order, but unfortunately due to COVID, they've been delayed for several months now. Ms. Shaw could let you know an expected date.
Yeah, Ms. Shaw just told me that they ordered, or we just received we ordered 4 picnic tables with umbrellas, and they should come middle of August.
All right, thank you. That's awesome. I think it's a great addition to the pool. I think that having that shade and the extra areas for people to sit, with the lack of trees in that area, things of that nature, it's tough on those super hot days. And I did forget to mention, I want to commend Ms. Shaw and all the work she's done on the disc golf course. I've spent a lot of time back there. I personally have not played yet, but I know a lot of people that have. I've been taking the dogs for a walk and the kids for a walk down to the creek. And every single person that's been playing disc golf has been super impressed with what the town has been able to do and Fred Rock has done in order to improve that area. And it's great to see so many people come out on the weekends and during the weeknights to play. So congratulations, Ms. Shaw. You did an unbelievable job on that as well.
thank you. Commissioner Davis? Are you there? Commissioner Davis? Is he still there? Okay. All right, and then I'll go ahead and go since we lost Commissioner Davis. I want to thank everyone too, on behalf of the Lions Club and all the organizations that we had with the Community Heritage Day. It went really, really well this year. We had no problems any going on through the day. We had enough police and fire services, and we had the whole town was involved. Without the whole town being involved, we couldn't pull this thing off every year. I want to thank the town staff for all the work they've done on it, because they've gotten everything ready for us to use the park and stuff for that day. It was just a wonderful day. Hopefully next year, we're getting ready to start next year already. This Saturday is a Frisbee golf tournament in Emmitsburg, where they're going to be having 80 people play all day long and back here on our golf course. And we have a concession stand for first Heritage Day. Fundraiser is going to be in the park for that day. If anybody's interested in coming back to see the Frisbee tournament, it will be going on in the back all day long Saturday. Along with the swimming pool, it has been very packed this year. It's been full. Everything's been going well. We have some incidents that happened at the pool, but the sheriff's department have taken care of the incidents, and all those elements have been taken care of. And thanks to them for that. I do not have anything else this time. Mr. Davis, are you back? Is he back?
Yeah, I apologize. I keep losing connection down here.
That's
guess
all right. Go ahead.
Must be the
We have-
breeze coming off the ocean. I apologize for that.
We're on Commissioner comments. Your turn.
No, just thank you for the kind comments, Commissioner Burns. Our people at the firehouse, they've been taking a beating this year. We've actually ran 29 working fires, which is what we consider where we have to actually fight fire, and that's unheard of. It's just since the first of the year, unheard of. And the people just keep working hard. So I appreciate that. And that's all I got. I got some comments on some other stuff on the agenda, but that'll do it for now. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on, Mayor, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Since our meeting on June 14th, the second meeting we had, or virtual meeting, again, thank you for the Community Heritage Day, the whole community, spearheaded by the Lions Club and the traces of the EBPA and other organizations, Knights of Columbus. Everybody was there. It was a wonderful, wonderful event. Everybody's just very complimentary about it. I attended MML conference. It was a very condensed, abridged meeting. And we started out Monday with the opening ceremony, and then Tuesday morning they had the closing ceremony. It was what I did get to talk to a lot of our grant organizations and met some of the contractors we have who had displays down there. And it was, and the governor gave a talk, a very inspirational talk, where he announced that the state was open, and the county is following along with that, basically following along with that. On July 1st, Thursday, dedicated 4 wayside exhibits. John Armstrong Rifle exhibit on East Main, a wayside exhibit. The Emmitsburg Railroad, which is almost directly across from the community center here where that was. The Frederick Fire Museum glass mural exhibit, and the White House exhibit up the in front of up South Seaton Avenue. Later that day, the Seaton Center opened their museum. The Seaton family as a rededication of the museum there. It's very well done. It very much worth visiting there. I think that's pretty much it. Again, it's great to see all the businesses here. Now that the town's all connected with sidewalks, that the square is looking good, and they are coming in, all these people, and I visited with many new family owners that I can since the pandemic. When they come in here, we have a little packet for them. We're trying to get that around and see if we can get to meet everybody. Where we enclose a free family pool pass to see if we can generate them getting used to going to the pool. I think that's all right now, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions for the mayor at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on. Public comment. We do have one signed up, Amy Bowman.
Hello,
Hello.
I'm here.
Mr. Vice President,
Yeah.
before Ms. Bowman speaks, I know personally that she is here because she was at the Planning Commission meeting. She's here to provide public comment regarding one of our agenda items this evening.
Would you like to speak now? Would you wait? Do you want to wait till the agenda item comes up?
Whatever makes more sense for you, just let me know.
It would,
It's up to you if you want to stay
Public hearing.
and listen to the meeting till we get to that, or
it would make more sense to Mr. Vice President if she spoke during the public hearing.
hearing.
So then her comments are on the public hearing record.
Okay. They said it'd be good for you to wait to then.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comments come in? Matter? Okay. Moving on, administrative agenda. Youth group, use of the Emmitsburg trails. Mr. Mayor.
I can, you
Okay.
want to take that, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Kathy.
Go ahead, Kathy.
So if you remember last year, Commissioner O'Donnell and his organization hosted a youth bike event up at Rainbow Lake. They utilized a couple of the trails. His request, from what I understand, is to allow parking to the right side of, if you're facing Rainbow Lake, and if you're going to walk across Rainbow Lake, to the right-hand side. They did that last year. We did not have any problems. There wasn't any damage to the lake area. I believe he requested police assistance, and I think the event is June 24th. So he's just looking for board approval to allow the parking at Rainbow Lake again and host his event.
Okay. Any questions? We need a motion to, do we need a motion to accept the parking in the grass? Or just consent?
Consent would be fine.
I need a consent for to allow the youth group to park in the grass when they do use the trails up on the mountain.
Hey, Mr. Vice President,
Yes,
just to double check, Ms. Willetts said June 24th. Is it July 24th, correct?
Yes, it's July
yes,
20th.
July 24th, yes.
Read my
All
writing.
right, just no problem. Just wanted to double check.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Consent carries 4-0, one missing, one absent. Update in the, letter B will be update to the American Rescue Plan monies. Kathy,
Yes, I don't know how to share my screen, so I'm not gonna do that. I gave everybody handouts or sent an email with the PowerPoint. Basically what it is just going over some of the guidelines that they've provided to municipalities on the American Rescue Plan. It's constantly being updated. The requirements are being updated. We just received a new email today looking for additional information on our budget. So I'll go through the information I have. It's pretty up to date. So I'll go through that and then let me know if you have any questions. Basically, the purpose of the American Rescue Plan, it's designed to deliver $350 billion for eligible state, local, territorial, and tribal governments to respond to the COVID-19 emergency and to help bring back jobs. Their goal is to support urgent COVID-19 response efforts to decrease the spread of the virus and bring the pandemic under control. It's to help lost public sector revenue to strengthen support for vital public services and help retain jobs. It's also to support the immediate economic stabilization for households and businesses. There's 4 categories that they set out that the monies may be used for. First pot is support public health expenditures and address negative economic impacts. It's basically to fund COVID-19 mitigation efforts, medical expenses, behavioral health care, and certain public health and safety staff. Also to support economic harms or to prevent economic harms to workers, households, small businesses, impacted industries, and the public sector. The second pot of money is to replace lost public sector revenue. It's funding to provide government services to the extent of the reduction in revenue experienced during the pandemic. Some examples that would work for the town would be lost parking revenue, lost pool revenue, lost utilities, water and sewer, etc. The state would provide or will provide a formula to the town to calculate eligible lost revenue. I imagine they're going to provide more guidelines on that category. Third category is to provide premium pay for essential workers, basically public health employees and the critical infrastructure sectors. The final category is to invest in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, which is designed to allow for necessary investments to improve access to clean drinking water, support vital wastewater and stormwater infrastructure, and expand access to broadband internet. Some ineligible uses of the American Rescue Plan money: you cannot be used for federal matching requirements for grants, cannot be used for premium pay, pensions, any infrastructure not directly addressed in ARPA, and then rainy day funds, financial reserves, and outstanding debt. Some of the guidelines that they've passed along already, since the town of Emmitsburg has a population of less than 50,000, the money will be passed on to us by the state of Maryland. It's estimated the town will receive their allocated monies by July 15th. However, based on this email that I received today, I think they're still working through it. But I would anticipate the money is coming sooner than later. Funding will be received in 2 tranches. with the first payment upfront and the second payment to follow 1 year later. They're going to base the amount on to be distributed to the town. It cannot exceed 75% of our total annual budget as of January 27th, 2020. We have not received official word on how much the town will receive. We've already submitted the request for funding and I am actively working with the representatives. The deadline to apply for any funding was June 30th, and we've already done all that. We're currently working on them. We've sent our budget and the agreements. Timing. So basically the money, all the costs must be incurred by December 31st of 2024 and may be spent through the period of performance ending on December 31st, 2026. The town must first start reporting to the state beginning October 31st of this year, and each year afterwards, with the final report being due October 31st, 2026. All funds must be exhausted at that point, or it has to be returned to the state. If anybody is interested in reading up on any of this information, I listed the 4 resources that I've been using and working with. Maryland Municipal League, they also held a session at the summer conference totally on the American Rescue Plan. The National League of Cities has some excellent information, U.S. Department of Treasury, and the Maryland Department of Budget and Management. So that's kind of the synopsis of the American Rescue Plan. Obviously, it's a lot more detailed than just that.
Any questions for the town manager on the monies for the American Rescue Plan? Mr. Ritz?
Yeah, I have one. I don't know how accurate it is. I saw a report floating around that listed, what was it, a national level? It listed all the municipalities and how much money they'd be receiving from this, but it sounds like we don't know how much we'd be receiving at this time.
Correct. So that was, I saw that report and that number as well. So I started calculating in my head based off that report. The very first webinar that I took, they said, just throw that out the window. Those numbers aren't correct.
Okay.
Basically, it's 75% of what your budget was in January, at January 27th, 2020. However, they keep changing everything. So now they're looking for our capital funds monies also. So that will, I'm not sure how they're going to figure that into our total budget. So that's something Cole and I are going to work on tomorrow.
Okay. I won't hold you to it, but could you answer, do you have a rough estimate how much we might be receiving?
My rough estimate was about 2.3.
Okay.
But now that they're, so, and that's just basically, I think our January 27, 2020 budget was about, I think it was about 3.6 million. So 75% of that. I don't have my calculator right here. There's my calculator. So if you do 3.6 million times 75%, so that says 2.7. I don't think it's going to be that much. I think it's going to be a little bit lower from the discussions that we've had.
Okay.
So you'd get half now and half next year.
Gotcha.
And we can use that towards infrastructure replacement?
Yes. We could utilize that for our infrastructure replacement because sure, for the pump station, our matching was 800,000. It's a match. It's not a it does not fall under the federal restriction that they said for grants. The 400,000 for the clarifier, the water line work, but yes, it could be used for any infrastructure as long as there's no restrictions by whatever agency.
That's good. Any questions? Commissioner Burns?
Oh yes, I didn't add, it can be used for stormwater management infrastructure as well.
So we can use that for Silo Hill?
I don't know. But no, it's, they haven't put out a lot of information on stormwater management yet. But I'm hoping they'll come out with some more. I mean, there's going to be a lot of restrictions on this. You know, discussions we had down at the conference was, yay, we're happy we're getting the money, but wow, it's going to be a lot of work and it's going to be difficult to manage and a lot of guidelines. So we're going to work through it.
Every little bit helps.
Yes, it does.
Yep. Commissioner Burns, do you have any questions?
No, sir. I'm excited to see how this plan plays itself out.
Mr. Davis?
No, just other than with being extra money, I hope we really consider those water lines that we've haven't done anything with here lately.
Well, we're in the middle of the preliminary engineering report, environmental report for the Paul Street and North Seaton Avenue. We have a meeting actually tomorrow afternoon. So definitely, I would like to see it go to all infrastructure. So I will keep everybody posted.
Thank you. Moving on, consent agenda, we have nothing, correct? No consent agenda.
No.
Okay, we're moving on to treasury report. Commissioner Burns?
Yes, thank you. This is the treasury report for July 12th, 2021. This is the cash activity as of June 29th, 2021. We had a cash balance on June 1st of $5,755,322. We had deposits in the amount of $131,801. We had withdrawals in the amount of $324,057. And that leaves us with an operating balance forward of $5,563,066. The top 10 check amounts are listed in the packet. Any questions that I might not be able to answer, hopefully town staff can.
Any questions for the treasury report this time? Hearing none, we'll move on. Planning Commission report, Zach? Or
You want me?
Mr. Ritz?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
The Planning Commission met on June 28th to discuss the amendment to Chapter 3 of the 2015 Comprehensive Plan. It was approved and forwarded to the Board of Commissioners for consideration, hence our agenda item for this evening. One resident expressed concern over the bypass that is planned to be constructed through the former Seton Center parcel, which is owned by the Daughters of Charity, and the Fraley Farm parcel on which development is planned. Specifically, this resident was hoping the bypass would have some sort of buffer for Southgate residents. The town planner did explain that the Daughters of Charity are agreeable to a bypass through their parcel, as long as the bypass does indeed incorporate a tree line buffer. So it appears that the Board of Commissioners will be considering this in the near future. There's also some discussion with all the planned developments in the foreseeable future. Would there be some form of affordable housing? Could we consider that? I wanted to personally thank our newly appointed alternate, Kevin Hagan, for being available that night. One of our Planning Commission members couldn't make it, so he was there on standby and was able to jump right in. We put him right to work. Finally, our next Planning Commission meeting is scheduled for July 26th at 7 p.m. That is not a typo. It's 7 p.m., not 7:30. The town code does not lock the Planning Commission into a specific start time. Code specifies that town meetings start at 7:30, Parks and Rec start at 7:30, Citizens Advisory start at 7:30. It doesn't mention the time for Planning Commission. So we collectively, unanimously decided, hey, let's start at 7. So we're going to do that going forward. I'm pretty excited about that too. A half hour really does make a difference. And that's all I have. I don't know if Zach needed.
Any questions about the planner's report?
Yes, sir. I have one for Mr. Ritz.
Go
Yes.
ahead, Commissioner Burns.
So the Planning Commission is in favor of the bypass, or what was the decision made on that?
I'm using the term bypass. Maybe that's not the correct term, but in the 2015 comprehensive plan, there is a collector road. There we go. The collector road from South Seaton Avenue through the parcel that the Seton Center used to be on, and then the Fraley Farm parcel, connecting up, eventually working its way to West Main Street somehow. So we didn't actually approve the bypass that night. It's already in the plan. A resident just noticed that and wanted to bring it to our attention that, hey, it might be able to hear or see that from Southgate. So what are our plans going forward? And
Well, I mean, I can echo what she's saying as well. And I think the major concern that I have with it is we're creating a bypass for residents of Pennsylvania to cut around town. And we as a town are going to pay for this, to maintain it and be in charge of it for people that are not residents of our town. And I don't know if this was considered in 2015 or what thought process there was with this, but I know in the original comprehensive plan, if you look at where the bypass was going to go, it was going to run along the creek and then through the Fraley Farm, which would push it further down South Seton. And at that point, now we're running it through this beautiful disc golf course and other things that we've created in the town park as well. Not to mention what headache might be created in the future where this comes out onto West Main Street and the other areas, and the amount of money that the town would then have to put into for the traffic lights and everything else. So I know we're going to continue discussing this, but I wanted to put my thoughts out there as well, that this is something that I think needs to definitely be re-examined and see if it's even a collector road, a whatever we want to call it in the future. But there's a lot of things that the town is going to be on the hook for to create a loop around for non-residents.
well, Commissioner Burns, I just wanted to point out, in 2015, I don't think, I'm pretty confident there have been no changes to the comprehensive plan regarding that bypass since 2015. It actually, I don't have it on me. I'm going by memory here, but I'm pretty confident that the collector road does. It's south of the park. It's not going to cut into any disc golf course.
Correct.
It totally bypass.
The map that I've seen, the way it would cut through, there's no way you can avoid the disc golf course.
If I may, Commissioner Ritz.
Go ahead.
Commissioner Ritz is correct. It actually borders the stream, which is really far away from the disc golf course. So it will not go through a disc golf course. I can promise you that.
Zach, I'm going to interrupt you for a second there, because I don't know when the last time, and I think Ms. Shaw can back me up on this. I don't know when the last time you were down there was, but hole 14 basically ends 40 yards from the stream, and hole 15 borders the stream with a maybe 30-yard buffer to the stream. So it's going to cut through.
I didn't know that was that far down, close to the stream in the floodplain. I apologize.
No. I'm not trying to cause problems. I'm just saying, like, you can see exactly where this is going to go, and it is going to cut directly through there. So I've seen the map in the town office where it was originally done, and I understand where people think it may go, but at this time, like, the where it was originally planned for and things of that nature, it's going to run directly through all the work that was done, and it's not going to be where I think some people think it might be.
I guess the only recommendation that I would have would be, first off, when are we going to be revisiting our town's comprehensive plan again? And at that time, that'd be a really good opportunity to really look at that bypass at that time.
Yeah, so we will be re-reviewing it starting in 2024 and hopefully finalizing in 2025. However, if the Fraley Farm annexation comes before that, that will be definitely a discussion that the board will have at that annexation.
So I wasn't thinking of that, potentially before the comprehensive plan.
Yep. And then one more thing, the Planning Commission actually recommended 4-0. Commissioner Ritz was actually absent from that meeting. It was the previous meeting to recommend approval of keep it in the comprehensive plan, the
Oh.
collector road.
Okay,
So it was a 4-0 vote.
that's the one I missed. Or one of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
I can understand that. I just wanted to voice my concerns so everybody can hear them now, because I know I know there's going to be concern about this, and I think the tree buffer is the least of our worries when it comes to all of this.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. We're actually going to be discussing that in our public hearing. So this road, so more to discuss soon.
No, and thank you for your insight, Commissioner Burns, because you live right down there near all this. It's helpful. Thank you.
And I'm not even saying this personally living in the neighborhood. I would have a problem with it if I lived on the north side of town, and we're going to spend all this money in order to do this for everybody to turn around. And I think one of the things people try to bring up is all the truck traffic that then has to go, they're going to bypass going through Main Street. But what I think people fail to recognize is the trucks that are going to go north are still going to go north, because if they do head out onto 15 from South Seaton, they're going to be forced to make a U-turn. And anybody that's ever seen a truck, bus, or anything that's made that U-turn, I mean, the traffic nightmares that could create are incredible as well.
I just want to point out one mistake, that the developer, whoever is the Fraley Farm developer, if this would stay, as a requirement, if the board would say we're doing this, the developer would actually be required to pay for 100% of the road. However, of course, we would take over the road after it would be 100% completed. So there would be costs associated with this road in the future, but the developer would bear the full cost up front for all the road. Just pointing that out.
No, and I can understand that if they pay that, but again, then it comes on to us. And if you think about where this collector road bypass, we'll just call it the road for now, wherever this does come out, we're going to have to put traffic lights in, and that's going to be an expense that's going to be on the town, correct, Mr. Golden?
Incorrect, unfortunately. They would be responsible for installing the traffic lights. However, we would be required to maintain the electric. So it would be an ongoing cost, but they would have to pay for that up front.
Okay, so even the ones that would go on South Seaton Avenue as well?
That's correct, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
I do feel kind of strong about this, so I just wanted to get that out there right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Mr. Mayor.
Okay, there's a long history on the bypass around Emmitsburg. It goes back to where originally it was supposed to run on the north side, where Brookfield Drive is. They would have to have purchased that little corner property where there's an eagle and some statement, political statements there, and cut right through there and go the northern boundary. It like every alignment, it looks good on paper until you try to get down and crossing Flat Run and where that would cut out. And then it would probably tie in through McNair over to Sila Head. And that was the northern, but with the development plans of Brookfield, they somewhere between 1998 and 2009, 2008, the comprehensive plan was redone, and they came up with a southern bypass, which takes no truck traffic, east-west traffic off of going through town. Like you mentioned, Commissioner Burns, that they cannot make that turn. And as I mentioned before in a previous meeting, it would hurt commerce downtown. There's good news and bad news about noise. The bad news is it's noise and traffic. The good news is it's noise and traffic for commerce. And that's where I stand. And the plan was to take the southern route through Fraley. Of course, you'd have to buy another property that takes you down to 140 there. That is still how that's going to happen. And if it's from the market or whatever, and it would dump out right across, line up with the lower service entrance to FEMA. But I agree there. It's been around. Bypass have been around since the 1990s or before that, and this one's been around for at least 12 or 14 years. This one, and it's just something to look at, and we'll all have to debate it when it comes up, and there'll be public meetings and everything like that, so we can all get our input on that and go from there. Thank you.
If I could just say one more thing,
Go ahead, Zach.
to follow up with Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
One thing we do know is this has not been yet approved by the State Highway
Not in
Administration.
concrete.
So we have no idea if it would ever get approved through the state,
Correct.
since both are state roads. So I know it was a concept brought up in the past and it was put into our comprehensive plan. However, it's my understanding that it was never brought before the state to ask if it's a workable plan.
Right.
So just to bring that up, just so everyone knows, it's not concrete. And the amendment we're talking about tonight, we didn't make any changes to that. This is strictly Chapter 3 growth, but just we'll talk about it more in a couple of minutes. But the reason for the amendment is not to change that. So,
Correct.
thank you.
Mr. Davis, do you have any questions before we move on?
No, I'm good for now.
Thank you. Moving on to the agenda items. We're going to agenda item 9. We're going to move 6 up. Agenda item number 6, zoning text amendment. Application proposed ordinance 20-21-12. Zach?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. We received a zoning text amendment application. If approved, it would amend Town Code Section 1708-190, which is conversions of garages, sheds, outbuildings, and other accessory structures, basically any non-residential structure to a residential use. So, for example, a larger non-residential building would be changed to an apartment complex or something. So I'm actually going to turn it over to the applicant so they can present this plan, if that's okay, Mr. Vice President.
Okay.
Brian and Susan Reaver, who is represented by Jeff, and I'm sorry, I don't want to misstate your name, Hazopo, I believe, or are they on the call?
I'm trying. Holtzinger, can you hear me?
There we go.
Yes, we can hear you.
Jeff Holtzinger. Good evening, commissioners and Mr. Mayor. I think Zach captured it pretty well. Basically, we started with a draft working with Zach and Leslie Powell, the town attorney. They made some recommendations. I revised it and they made some further recommendations, and that's what's before you now. And we would agree with their comments and respectfully request that you forward this on to the Planning Commission. So what I originally submitted, I was probably trying to get the whole way there with this text amendment to be able to use a accessory structure converted to a residential use, provided it met other parts of the town zoning requirements. And what this will do tonight, this will get us part the way there. It will allow for the conversion to the use, provided you meet other requirements. And if there are needs to get variances from the setback, we would have to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals. So I understand the reason for that. And we would respectfully request that you move this forward to the, recommend this to move forward to the Planning Commission, and eventually, I guess, back to you for approval for this text amendment. So I agree with the staff. We concur with the staff comments, and again, respectfully request that you advance this.
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question.
Commissioner Ritz?
So my understanding is Mr. Reaver owns 133 South Seaton.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Okay, so behind that was the former, it was a restaurant. It was Red's Tavern, One More Tavern, Ballfield Tavern.
Yeah, I believe it used to be a tavern. Yes, sir.
Is the intent then to turn that, what was formerly a restaurant, into a dwelling?
Yes, into a residential use, yes.
Okay, so I'm a little confused then. The zoning text amendment this evening, then currently he would not be able to turn that into a dwelling, and therefore we're looking at this amendment?
Yeah, I can answer that. It's a really interesting section of code. I've never seen in a zoning code where you can't go before the Board of Appeals and ask for variances. So staff does recommend sending this forward to the Planning Commission. we believe that everybody should have the opportunity to apply for variances from the Board of Appeals. That's the typical process. And Leslie, our town attorney, has agreed with that. So I think it makes sense. It doesn't mean that the Board of Appeals is going to grant the variances to allow houses, or excuse me, units in the old, was it 135 Chesapeake Avenue, I believe, the old tavern. However, this would give them the opportunity to apply for variances. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so I guess currently without this, the former restaurant / tavern cannot be converted.
That's correct. Due to
So-
setback restrictions.
So if this were approved by the planning commission, it would come back to the board of commissioners. If we approve that, then that could happen.
That's correct. They would then have to apply for a variance, or a few variants, actually.
I guess the one holdup I had was that one new addition. It was really glaring to me. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it, but the no variance or special exception will be permitted to expand a non-conforming use. Could you elaborate on that just for me?
Jeff, do you want to elaborate on that one?
Yeah, I will. I think that's pretty typical, because with non-conforming uses, you want to start to eliminate them. So if we were, and let me step back a second and say, this is in the village zone and multifamily is permitted. But with non-conforming uses, you're looking to eventually phase them out. So I think the idea behind that language is you're not going to use this to expand or, add to an already non-conforming use, which the town would like eventually to go away. In this case, we would not be doing that because multifamily is something that's allowed in the village zone. So if you would had, I don't know one of your zones that doesn't allow multifamily, but if you had an existing multifamily in a zone where you had a building in a zone that didn't allow for multifamily use, you couldn't then take this ordinance and then use this text amendment, if it was approved, and make that multifamily use bigger, for instance. So
Yeah,
does that answer your question?
For example, if there was a multifamily dwelling unit in the R1 district currently,
Okay,
they couldn't use this to expand that dwelling
I understand.
to make more apartments.
Okay, and that's why B was struck through. Then this is our way of allowing for Board of Appeals.
That's correct.
Because everything, like you said, my understanding is anything that would fall under our zoning chapter would have the ability that anyone would have the ability to go to the Board of Appeals.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry to everyone else. I jumped in there and started asking all these questions. I'll turn it over. I don't know if anyone else has any questions.
No, it's a good question.
I'm finished at this time.
Commissioner Burns, you have any questions?
I think the only question I have is this a structure that would be knocked down, or is it going to be something's going to be made out of the existing structure?
It would be, the existing structure would be utilized and modified.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, how would that affect some of our other businesses on Main Street, such as the old Granny's Attic that's sitting there vacant, and Main Street Deli, if they want to turn that into apartments? Would this help that?
I guess it potentially could if, I'm not familiar with where they are and what zone, if they are also in the village zone and multifamily use was allowed. One thing that we have to address is parking. So that might be a consideration there, whether they could meet the parking requirements. We're going to be able to do that with some off-site parking that's within the range or the distance that's allowed. So I think there would be some other questions, but if it's in the village zone, yes, I think it potentially could allow those type of uses, but they would have to, again, go through the same process of, if they did not meet all the setback requirements or the area requirements, they would have to go before the Emmitsburg Board of Zoning Appeals as well.
Right.
Zach, do you have any input into that?
Yeah, so my example, instead of like Granny's Attic or or the other one you mentioned was basically the antique mall. So if the antique mall, for whatever reason, would go out of business, and this would allow them to potentially put multifamily units in there instead of it sitting vacant. If another business does not want it, if it sits vacant for so many years, they're just doing this in the Gettysburg Borough. They just passed a similar kind of ordinance that allows multifamily dwelling units to go into vacant structures. So that was my example of trying to think bigger picture, not just, this property, but what other properties could potentially be impacted. And that's a possibility as well. So if it's something you'd like to see, possibly that potentially be used as dwelling units, maybe we should push this forward. But if that's something you definitely never want to see, it's probably not a good idea to pass this.
Right, like we have some buildings that don't use in town, garages, old businesses.
Correct.
Could be turned in already.
Exactly. Yep.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mayor Holsinger, Don Briggs, how are you?
I'm good. Mr. Mayor, how are you?
Are you now, or you ever intend to play for the Frederick Falcons?
Just as soon as they get started back up again, and I have all my joints replaced that I need replaced.
Are you now or ever intend to or presently play rugby for the Frederick Rugby Club?
I tried that once. That's the first time I had a serious injury. So I need to get in much better shape. But I do have a daughter that you came and did a presentation for her senior project that does. She doesn't play anymore, but she regularly attends matches with her husband, which she met playing rugby.
Well, that's
Frederick Rugby
fantastic.
Club.
It's good to talk to you,
Too.
Mayor. My question is, how many units do you plan to put? I'm a neighbor, and and a couple of houses down, but there are disputes up there that are ongoing, and lots of activity with police up there. How many units do you intend to put back there?
They would desire to get 2, but we would most certainly need zoning, Board of Zoning Appeal approval for that. And
Great. Yeah, okay.
I think we'll reasonably support that, given the water and sewer use that would have been in the previous use. I think it will. I think it will support that. I think they have a parking agreement with the antique mall actually that will support the parking, but they have wanted to possibly get 3, and I know the Reavers are watching, but talking back and forth with Zach, I just realized that just wasn't something that was going to meet, have a real good chance of meeting the requirements. So I think their hope is for 2 units.
Okay. Right now, how many units are back there?
1. It just would be it would just be the space that's there now.
Okay, and that was converted when?
I don't know. I know there was some back and forth before I got involved. I guess it had been started while it was sitting vacant, and then what brought this up is I guess Zach had realized that there was an apartment there and contacted the Reavers, and then who then contacted me.
Okay, as one of my former players on both football and rugby, you were an excellent football player and rugby player, and you were an excellent mayor down at Frederick.
Well, thank you very much.
We just have to talk to your client, please, to get that under control. What's going on there with the disputes with both the neighbors on both sides? This is one of the most attractive streets to come into Emmitsburg, and we all have to live together and work together.
Is there any particular issue that I should work with the Reavers on, or that you can say?
I think they're aware of the.
Okay.
So we'll just leave it there.
Okay, I will talk to them about that.
Reavers are a wonderful family, and we think very much them up here, but for the community along that street and everybody coming in and out of there, we just have to get this resolved and make every property we possibly can along there as attractive as the FEMA, Daughters of Charity, and other properties there. But good to talk to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Likewise, and I will work on that.
I have a question. Zach, is the property, is it from Maine, do the landlords own the front two apartment buildings also?
It's a very interesting property. So,
Because there's two apartment buildings in front, correct?
right,
Couple apartments in front.
right. There's an apartment in the front. It's the same exact parcel, but it has two addresses. I've never seen something like it before, but Jeff, do they have two units there or they only own the one half?
I think they only own the half, but I can't tell you, I'm sure. It's almost like it's like a row house. Because one is 133 and one's 130. The front has the address, I think is a Seton Avenue. That the one has a different address. And I think they only own the front. I think they only own half at the front.
Yeah, it's an interesting property. So it's another good reason that they can go to the Board of Appeals because it's very interesting property.
All right, any other questions? Commissioners? Hearing none. Do we need a motion to move this one to the planning and zoning?
Or to deny the application.
Before we do
Deny.
that, I have a question procedurally for the town planner.
Sure.
If I were to make the motion to forward this on to the planning commission, would that be a problem? Because I am the board liaison to the planning commission.
No.
No.
When it goes to the Planning Commission, you should not vote on the
I would
matter.
abstain at that time.
Correct.
Okay. May I?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to forward ordinance 21-12 zoning text amendment to amend Title 17 of the Emmitsburg Code to the Planning Commission for their recommendation and to set a public hearing on August 2nd, 2021.
Is there a second?
Did I get that?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Davis. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Motion carries 4-0, one absent.
Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is approval of the ordinance 20-21 -11 purchasing contracts and bid procedures for consideration. Is this Kathy?
Yes, it is. Let me get my notes out.
Zach just stepped out for a minute.
Okay, that's fine. All right. So this has been a project that Ms. Shaw and I have been working on for probably well over a year now. Our current ordinance on purchases, contracts, bids, and procedures was very vague. It did not give staff much direction. There was no clear-cut guidelines on how to do bids, what was required, what was not required. We hit some roadblocks at times that we had to get with the town attorney. Advertising with the Frederick News Post, the way their code was written, that was the only paper we could advertise with. And timing was sometimes difficult. And the Frederick News Post is extremely costly to advertise, even for small projects. You're spending up to $500 sometimes on advertising. For the pump station, we've spent several $1,000s of advertising in the Frederick News Post. Unfortunately, utilizing the local papers doesn't work because they only run papers once a month. And that does not meet the requirements of some of the grantors' advertising requirements. So we started working on this about a year ago, found that it was out of date. We reached out to our town attorney, who pretty much took it by and ran with it. They did all the research, proposed all the changes with the kind of some of the things that staff was looking for. They researched the thresholds for it. A lot of it was grammatical and cleaning up of the ordinance, capitalizing some letters. So I'm going to go through it. I'm not going to go through word by word. You'll see what was changed and what was not. And so I'll start on page 17. You'll see that in just some capitalizations of the word town, 3.12030 expenditures under $50,000. The recommendation from the town attorney was to increase that threshold to $50,000. That's the state's requirement also at 50,000. And if this is approved, you'll see one of the places that we are required to advertise then is the e-marketplace, which is very competitive. You get contractors that sign up for that, and all the municipalities put their bids out there. Letter A, expenditures including petty cash, supplies, materials, equipment, construction of public improvements, or contractual service involving less than $15,000. The amount was increased from $5,000 to $15,000, may be made by the mayor, the town manager, or the town clerk without the necessity for formal bids or formal approval by the Board of Commissioners, provided the funds have been appropriated in the budget for the use intended. So what that basically says is now we don't have to go through the formal bid process for anything under $15,000. Because we were spending a lot of time and a lot of money on advertising on projects that were $3,000 and $4,000. And the key point in this letter A is funds have been appropriated in the budget for the use intended. So the money has to be there, and the Board of Commissioners approves the budget. So we're not going to go out and solicit services for things that aren't already in the budget. Letter B just continues with the increase of 15. It says, except as otherwise provided, expenditures including petty cash for supplies, materials, equipment, and construction of public improvements or contractual services involving $15,000 or more and less than $50,000 may be made by the mayor, town manager, or the town clerk without the necessity of formal bid by the Board of Commissioners, provided that the mayor, town manager, or town clerk shall make a good faith effort to obtain at least 3 written estimates. So anything over 15,000, we're required to still obtain 3 written estimates. It says no fewer than 3 businesses shall be solicited via written requests containing the specifications for the procurement. Request shall be recorded and placed in the bid file. Drop down to 3.12040 expenditures over 50,000. They shall be made by written contract. And as you know, all written contracts are approved by the board. An expenditure involving $50,000 or more, or an expenditure involving $15,000 or more and less than $50,000 may be made without competitive bidding or written contract when the town manager determines after a good faith review that there's only one appropriate source. That predominantly would come into play with the technical equipment at like the water plant and the wastewater treatment plant. Actually, town's going to be, or will be bringing a proposal to you for approximately $80,000 for computer equipment at the wastewater treatment plant. That's a sole source that we're not going to be able to get 3 bids for. You'll see that number 3 letter C was removed. Letter C now becomes the town may be joined with other units of government in cooperative purchasing plans when it best interest of the town. We've always been able to do that. An expenditure involving $50,000 or more may be made without competitive bidding, and an expenditure involving $15,000 or more and less than $50,000 may be made without obtaining written estimates where, and you'll read number 1, 2, and 3, they are already in our code. 3.12050, Letter A just changes the amount from 50,000 or from 20,000 to 50,000. And at the end of letter B, it says all sealed bids shall be directed to the town manager using the following guidelines. And this is where it makes it clear cut for staff on how to handle all the bids. So, or in the request for bids, excuse me. So if you drop all the way down to page 20, number 1 is the bid packet. And it basically outlines what needs to be in our bid packet, and how we go about it. So the bid packet has to be issued at least 10 days prior to the end of the submission date. It requires where it's supposed to be sent, who it goes to, the scope of work, all the submittal requirements, the language indicating the town reserves the right to accept or reject any and all bids and to waive any minor irregularities. That was already in there. And then letter F that basically states the town does not discriminate on the basis of race, color, national origin, sex, sexual orientation, etc. Number 2 is public notice. Public notice of the request for sealed bids shall be given at least 10 business days prior to the date set forth. That unfortunately was not really in our ordinance either. Public notice shall be given on the town's website, Facebook page, the classified section of the Maryland Municipal League website. Anything over $50,000 must be posted. Public notice has to be given to the e-Maryland marketplace system, which is managed by the Maryland Department of General Services. Then it outlines the receipt of bids. It does allow us to accept late bids, depending on the reasoning. We had a few late bids there was no guidelines in our code about late bids. It outlines the bid opening, basically within 90 days. The bid shall be opened in the presence of the town manager, at least one other town employee. It outlines confidentiality. Number 7 on page 22, review by mayor and board of commissioners within 120 days. The town manager shall either submit the bids to the mayor and board of commissioners for review. And then the board of commissioners and the mayor can decide if we need to re-advertise the bids. Number 7A basically says, upon determination that the bid shall be submitted to the mayor and board of commissioners, it goes on the agenda for a public meeting. At the public meeting and after public review and consideration of the bids submitted, the mayor and board of commissioners may accept or may reject any and all bids, or you may waive technical defects. It goes on to state that the town may consider various factors, including but not limited to the bidder who offers the lowest responsible bid, the quality of goods, work proposed, the time of delivery or completion, and then the responsibility of bidders being considered. The town shall have the absolute right to reject any or all bids and shall not be obligated to accept any bid, including the lowest bid. It also may reject all bids and re-advertise. We may waive minor technical irregularities. We're required to provide written notification to all bidders, whether they're awarded the job or not. Number 24, when the securing a bid, sealed bids is impractical or unreasonable or not advantageous to the town manager may institute an alternate procurement method by utilizing the open market, which would be basically we would go out and search for a contractor or a provider. The town manager has to put that in writing and submit it to the mayor and to the town board of commissioners. And I have to submit, or the town manager would have to submit 3 reasonable quotes or offers. Bottom of page 24, letter number 3. The number for change orders has been reduced from 20,000 to 15,000. Basically, right now, the town manager and mayor can approve change orders up to 20,000. This reduces it to 15,000. The reason being is that you always want to stay away from change orders, and if they want change orders, then the board has to approve it. So only the board So then letter 4, only the Board of Commissioners may approve a change order request, anything over 15,000. And then on page 26 is where we added the information regarding emergency procurement. Basically, when there's a threat to public health, safety, or welfare, the mayor may authorize emergency expenditures for supplies, materials, equipment, construction improvements, etc., without using competitive bidding. It lists what constitute an emergency condition. The mayor shall use due diligence in determining the basis for the emergency procurement and selection of contractor. The mayor or the town manager shall notify the board as soon as practicable in writing of any emergency expenditure. And then within 3 business days of awarding an emergency procurement contract, the town manager or his or her designee should post on the town website the notice identifying at a minimum, and it lists out what's required. And the record of each procurement shall be public record and shall be maintained as required to the town's record retention schedule. And those are the changes and updates to the ordinance. Again, the reasoning for this was twofold, was the costly nature of advertising and paper print, and then the clear-cut guidelines for staff on how to. And that's all.
Okay, thank you. Is there any questions for the town manager at this time? Commissioner Ritz?
I'm sorry, I didn't have my mic on. Is that better? There we go. I turned it off. One question. This is back on page 15 of our packet. So we're looking at section 3.12.20. No, 0.30, sorry.
Okay.
I'm reading sideways. So in letter B, it looks like to me that the dollar amounts were changed. So I'm using for an example, tonight we saw the top 10 checks, and one of them was for Lance Chevrolet for the truck that was approximately $30,000. And I remember a few months back, we as a board then, you brought that to us and we approved that purchase. So now it looks like potentially for that said truck in the future, if this were to be passed, you wouldn't need to come to us then.
As long as the monies have already been approved in the budget, which we had done before. That truck. Yes, that's correct.
Yes, yeah, which yes, you always do. Budget time, here we're gonna be needing a new truck, and then when that time comes. So now stuff like that, as long as it's under that threshold, then we're
Right. And part of it is also because we have a hard time getting 3, especially for the truck, for example, we had a very difficult time getting 3 competitive bids on the same truck, model, make that we wanted. And so much of it, I don't know if the contractors are not willing to bid. Some projects will get 20 bids, but some projects we just don't get many. And so that's part of the problem. But yes, to answer your question, you're correct.
I guess my only holdup, and I want to preface this, but I'm not trying to offend anybody. You, Miss Willits, as a town manager, I know you certainly perform your due diligence, and Miss Shaw does as well as town clerk. I guess my only concern is if we pass this tonight going forward, excluding perhaps Commissioner Sweeney, the rest of us might not be here several years from now, sitting in town government. I only said that as it being funny because he's been around for a while, but and there might be another town manager, town clerk. So I guess what I'm getting at is someone with less due diligence potentially sounds like a scary thought. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, and I understand that, and that's why you need, you have a mayor that reviews it. Your town treasurer reviews all the checks that come through. I know it's a big jump from 20 to 50,000. We were going off what the Maryland requirements are and what the town attorney recommended. You don't have to go with 50,000. I would like to see it increase because there's so much lost time and in trying to get competitive bids. As prices increase on everything, it seems like we're getting bids for so much anymore, to easily streamline it. And I appreciate your comments. I do my due diligence, and I watch the money very closely. That's a decision for the board.
Yeah, I guess
It's just what staff recommends.
that was my main concern. Otherwise, I'll let anyone else chime in, but that's
But you
really
was-
that's
right,
really
and
what
that-
jumped out at me the most, was regarding that process.
And that's where I would, if it is approved, that I would encourage your mayor and especially your town treasurer to be very active in the money that was, if I'm not here, and even if I am here, to be very diligent in the money that's being spent. And I encourage anybody to come in and talk to the accountant or talk to me and ask any questions. And just because the bids, it says 50,000, there may be times I still want to bring the bids to the board. I've brought bids that under 20,000 to you to approve also, that I kind of want you guys to approve and take it off my shoulders.
Understood. Okay, well, that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Burns, you have any questions?
No, I think this is a great thing that will allow town government to run more efficiently. I think the one thing I've learned in the last 2 years is sometimes the government runs at a snail's pace, and I think it hurts us in some ways. So I think allowing staff to be able to do these things would definitely help in the long run.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I just have two things on the bid packet. We're asking, or am I reading this right, that we're asking businesses, we could only give them 10 days to submit a bid?
Per this, you could. Typically, what we've been doing is, and Maddie's there, she probably knows better than I do. I think typically we give them at least 14 days to 21 days, depending on the size of the project. Sometimes we need to turn it around quicker if we're trying to submit for a grant. But I like to give them at least 21 days. And like I said, it depends on the project, but the rule of thumb is 10 days.
Well, from my experience, if you give a contractor that short of a turnaround, you're not giving him enough time to put him or her enough time to put in a good bid and put the time into it, especially if you're trying to get, maybe that's why we're not getting good competitive bids. And then we're taking 120 days to award it.
Well, that's never happened. We typically award at the very next town meeting. So let's just say your bid's due. Let's say your bid was due today, and staff will take about a week or two to review it, reach out to references. Obviously, if it's a standard project, if it's something like the wastewater treatment plant or a pump station or water lines, we're going to take a lot more time to review it. But typically we turn it around very quickly to bring to the board at the very next meeting. And I'll play devil's advocate with you. I mean, I know contractors that if you give them too much time, they don't bid because they lose track of it. But I mean, I'm not opposed to increasing it, because we already do longer than 10 days anyway. I was just going off of what the rule of thumb is.
Well, I would like to see both those numbers changed to 30 and 30. That we have 30 days. I mean, if we approve this other stuff, you can make those purchases as small purchases. But if we're looking for something big, you have to give the contractors time. And with the volatility of the market with the volatility of the market right now, anything over 30 days, you don't know what a 2x4 is going to cost today compared to 120 days from now. So, if we're asking them to make a quick turnaround, we should do the quick turnaround.
Any other questions?
So I do. Based on what Commissioner Davis just said, if we were to modify this could we modify this evening to say 30-30, or would this have to come back?
So I'm looking at it. So which bullet point are you speaking to, Commissioner Davis? Page 20, number 1. The request for proposal shall be issued at least 10 days prior to the end of the bid submission. Public notice.
Yeah, my numbers are wrong. My numbers are wrong from the, because I ran mine off before I left on vacation, and then we got the updated one today. So I guess it could be 20. I'm on the old 17. Yes, it's number 1 on the bid packet.
Okay. And then the 120 days, I gotta flip through this real quick.
It's number 7 on the bid packet.
Number 7. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. View. So then we're going within 90 days of the date set, the bid shall be open. So in reality, you need to change number 5 within 90 days of the date set for the submission of the bids. Bid shall be opened in the presence of the town manager and at least one other. I cannot turn it around in 30 days. I can do number 5 in 30 days, but number 7, getting it to the board, I don't think 30 days is reasonable. Because it depends if say they submit it to the middle of June, and then I've got 2 weeks to review it, or, you know, however long to review it, and then trying to get it on the agenda. I mean, I don't agree with moving number 7 to 30 days.
Well, you're just opening yourself up for a bunch of change orders, because if somebody submits a package, you know, if somebody would have submitted a package back 6 months ago at the price of the market things then, and then we look at what things cost now, we're gonna have a lot of change orders, or we're gonna have somebody bailing out on us.
Well, that hasn't happened so far. The only thing that we've had so far is we've had one contractor that states, and there's a lot of contractors that are doing this day, that this bid is only good for 30 days. Or with the price, it depends on the project. I mean, a bid the size that, you know, we're going to have pump station bids coming in, water line bids coming in, and clarifier bids coming in. There is no way to turn those around in 30 days. Our engineer will never get it done that fast. So, I mean, I do understand the price of lumber is going up, the price of concrete's going up, things change, and you're going to see some change orders. And yes, we want to avoid them at all costs, but we have to be realistic on how fast things can get turned around. I mean, I'm not opposed to getting away from, you know, making the bid opening number 5 within 90 days of the date set, the bid shall be open. We never sit on bids that long. I mean, I can reduce that, and then number 7, have it 60 days maximum. But I can tell you what, if it's a small regular project, you're going to see that bid fairly quickly.
Well, that's the other question I had. This will be the last one, I promise, on this one. Why aren't the bids opened to the public, or with the public, the day of the submission? That's, you know, when I was back doing contracting, that's the way it was. We would have people bring a bid in 10 minutes before it was due. The contractors would be there. We'd open them up, and they would see what's going on. What's our reasoning for that?
That's not been recommended by the town attorney. I don't know anywhere that does that. I know the town of Thurmont opens them up at their town meeting. So I've never had you have your bids due at 3 o'clock on a Friday, and then you're going to stand around with everybody and open the contracts. I've never had that happen, and I don't know anywhere that does it. Doesn't mean that it doesn't happen, but that's never been considered.
Well, the federal government does it all the time. Not that that's a good example, I guess, but you know, when I
they're
was in
much
contact with
larger.
the federal government, we always.
Right, and they're much larger, bigger staff. I'm sure they have staff just completely dedicated to their bids that are coming in. like I said, I'm not opposed to reducing the number of days for review, but thinking of what's on the horizon for bids that are going to be coming in, to hold us accountable to get those kind of major infrastructure bids turned around in 30 days, to do due diligence with the engineers and then staff, I don't feel comfortable with it. I mean, I can even, number 5 with the bid openings, we can push that back to like 14 days to open bids, or 21 days. And then number 7, drop it down to 60 days at the maximum.
Yeah.
But all the small bids you're going to get within a short turnaround. It's the larger bids.
I just feel like watching the staff work, and Mayor Commissioner,
Yes, go
Okay.
ahead.
I think you really have to give our staff, I'd like to keep it at 120 days. And we don't sit on anything. We've been here, we had just opened one a couple of weeks ago, and we only had one bid, so we had to shut it down and rebid it again. And we're not sitting on them. It's just that it's just staff, and also getting our engineers to look at it. I don't mind the upfront one, but the backside, I just think we need to have that protection, or else we could rush into something. And I've been in business all my life for over 50 years, and I like speed, but with government, I think a lot of times it's good to slow it down, be thorough, and our staff does a great job with the resources they have. Thank you, sir.
So we're going to move, we have a request to move number 1 to 14 days. Is that correct?
That's fine with me. And we usually give them longer than that.
Number 5 to 90 days, is that what it is?
Number 5,
The 90 days?
Number 5 was the opening of the bid, so
yeah.
So you want that as 15 days? 14 days or whatever? What do we decide on? Anything? Anybody?
I said 30 to open bids. We've never sat on bids that long.
30.
well, that's kind of my point. If we never done it, why are we setting those numbers? That's what doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
Same,
We
it's-
say
The
never
town-
done it, so why are we setting the numbers there?
the town attorney wrote this, and this was her recommendations and her staff's recommendations. And, I would defer to her, but we can certainly change these numbers.
Well, I have all the respect for our town attorney, but I'm gonna go to another subject. It's just like the Maryland State Highway people tell us we never have a backup on South Sea and East Main Street, and we all know that's not true. So they can sit someplace else behind a desk and tell us all this stuff, but it's not always true.
Well, I think she was erring on the side of caution for staff to give us time. But I have no problem changing it to 30 days.
So number 1 will be 14 days. Number 5 will be 30 days. And you want to keep number 7 at 120 or move it to 90? 120?
For the record, it was 90. Now
Right,
it's 120.
yeah.
We have a small staff.
Commissioner Ritz, what page was that showed you that it was 90 days?
Page 16,
Okay, thank you.
at the very bottom, number 3, the strike through.
Oh, okay, there it is. Okay. And see, we previously had no guidelines on timeline on how long we had on anything. Except for that one. We can leave that one at 90 days. It's up to the mayor what he requests. Because you're right, I won't be here forever.
I like to leave it 120 days just because of arrangements we're gonna have with our staff upcoming months, and we have a lot of big things that we're working on. And it takes a real community effort here to pull off this stuff all the time. And I just don't want to set us up for failure. And we can always get back to you and say where we are on that, and give you an outside date on each project. But I think if we're going to write something in stone, we ought to give it, be a little liberal on that, or conservative.
Any other comments? So everything is going to stay the same that is presented, except for we're going to change number 1 to 14 days. Number 2 to 30 days. I mean, number 5 to 30 days. And number 7 will stay as presented. Correct?
Yes.
As presented at 120. Everybody okay with that? Commissioner Davis?
Yes, I have to live with it. Yeah, I'm good.
I need a motion to accept ordinance. Let me see here. About ordinance 2021-11 with the amendments. Need a motion for that?
I make a motion for ordinance 2021-11 with the amendments.
Need a
I'll
second?
second that.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Ritz. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Nay.
Oh, then it fails.
Commissioner Davis?
I'm okay. Aye.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Okay, ordinance carries 3-1 and 1 absent. 3-1, 1 absent. So it'd be 3 nay, yes, 1 no, and 1 absent.
And for the record, I didn't think of the bids before. It's not a question I didn't get. That was a very good question this evening. The more I thought about this, I guess it's more of a legal standpoint, you know, holding town staff to a time frame. But then as the discussion went along, I was wondering, you know, do we even need to put those in there? Knowing full well that, yes, we can trust our town staff, and yes, they do their job. Do we really need those dates in there? But okay,
Make sure they get it done within the time.
it's fine. We'll be good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 2.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vice President. This is the ADA sidewalk curb ramp project contract for consideration. The first request for proposals, as you can see, I won't review everything, our timeline. There is our RFP advertisement. We do a lengthy advertisement requests. We did receive one proposal, ECM Corporation, the amount of $555,651. Due to this being a community development grant and their requirements, the town was required to rebid this project since we only received one bid. We go to the next page. We did a second request for proposals. Again, there's the timeline and the RFP advertisement. We did receive some more concrete firm names from our community development block grant grant manager. So I sent some out to some more firms. Proposals received in alphabetical order. ECM, they jumped their bid up to $630,576. And then we received a bid from MIM Construction Inc., $623,028.50. We are recommending approval of the MIM construction bid in the amount of $623,28.50 and a total project cost not to exceed $705,893. The mayor is authorized to enter into a contract with MIM Construction in the full amount of the bid, which includes $12,200 in contingency funding. Change orders approved by the town engineer and mayor for unexpected costs are authorized, provided they shall not exceed the project costs of $705,893. A minor contract change is not altering the total bid project, or excuse me, the total project bid that are consistent with the invitation to bid and proposals are permitted. A total project cost is shown higher than the bid amount in order to cover potential change orders for unexpected costs. Again, this will be 100% grant funded for the change, if there's any change orders. The project is fully funded with a community development block grant, $10,000 town cash match, which is being used for engineering inspections to make sure they're doing their job as the plans show, and also $10,000 of in-kind match for a total of $705,893. And that is my presentation, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Okay, we have a recommendation to accept MIM's construction bid at $623,028.50. I need a motion to accept the ADA curb requirements proposal. I need a motion
So moved.
to accept the bids.
I'll
Yes.
second that.
Commissioner Burns made the motion. Commissioner Ritz seconded. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
I have one other question.
Okay.
Are we allowed for discussion
Yes.
before? vote?
mhm.
I guess my question to the town planner would be, okay, now that it sounds like it might be doing this tonight.
Yes.
When will it start?
So I reached out to the community development block grant project manager today because we have not received our finalized grant agreement. Basically, it has to be signed by the department chair of community and economic development.
Okay,
We're still waiting on supposedly some budget numbers to get passed.
okay.
So hopefully, she said, hopefully it's going to be by the end of this month. So
Oh.
we're hoping construction is going to start sometime around August 1st.
Oh, good.
We have a pre-construction meeting tomorrow. The town manager and myself are going to be attending, and they're going to be giving us a timeline, which we'll post publicly.
That was my next question.
Yep, we'll have it on our website, and also we'll be more than likely probably be posting on the Facebook every week and on the website every week where the construction is going to be located.
That would be helpful.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Any way to get that word out?
Because there will be traffic delays.
Yeah.
The streets won't be closed, but there expect some traffic delays.
Okay, thank you.
It's semi-related, so I wanted to ask that question, Thank you.
Yep.
Any other discussion?
Yeah, I just have one quick thing.
Commissioner
I'm gonna
Davis?
vote- I'm gonna vote in favor of this, but if you look at the bid that came in back a couple months ago, 555,000, and now the lowest bid we've got now is 623. So when you delay things, it's costing us money. That's all I got.
Yeah, unfortunately, that was a federal requirement.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just using that as an example. Like, I'm not blaming anybody, just using it as an example.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0-1.
I'm all mixed up now where we're at.
We are on agenda item number 3.
Okay.
Approval of the Rutters and Emmitsburg East Industrial Park 2 deeds and easements.
Sure. So we're first going to start with the Rutters deed of easement. This is a deed of easement agreement between M&G Realty, other otherwise known as Rutters, and to the Board of Commissioners of the town of Emmitsburg. If I could please direct your attention to page 52 of the agenda packet. So, you okay? All right, so page 52 of the agenda packet, the first is the public utility easements for the Rutters property. These are for their water, sewer, public sewer, pump station easements, basically. So we have the authority to enter onto their property anytime and take care of any water lines that are owned by the town and the pump or the pump station. And the second document for the Rutters deed is on page 53. This is for the stormwater management easements. And other than that, I do not have any further for this. I think they are giving it to us for $1, I believe. This protects the town in order to get on their property at future times, take care of our equipment.
Okay.
And that's all I have. If you could, please vote on this one separate. Then I'll start my next presentation.
Okay. I need a motion to accept the approval of the Rutters and Emmitsburg East Industrial Park easements,
Just the Rutters.
or just the deeds,
Mhm.
Rutters? For the Rutters only. Need a motion?
Make a motion.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Burns. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
401.
Okay, next, moving on, please direct your attention to page 62 of the agenda packet. This is the deed of easement for East Industrial Park LLC within the town of Emmitsburg. 1 second, let me turn the
Wait.
page here.
64.
What page?
Hold on a second.
64. 64.
I have 62 on mine, but it sounds like 64 in
Oh,
other
is it 60?
packets.
I jumped ahead, sorry.
I don't have the minutes in this one. This was before the minutes.
Oh, this is
So my
before the
numbering's
minutes.
off.
Yep, so I'm not sure what page it would be on.
Oh, boy.
Is it for the,
So 4 pages long, so it should be 66.
I'd go backwards. So it'd be,
It should be. I have a different book, I guess. Try 66.
56.
Okay, mine's all messed up then.
56.
Do you have the minutes for tonight in your
I
packet?
don't.
I don't either. Okay, so that doesn't make any.
So it should be 62 for you.
Well, 62, we're into agenda item 5 regarding the comprehensive plan.
Hold on a second. Oh, actually, I do have the minutes. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Let me check the mayor's packet real quick.
I think it's
His says 62 as well.
Is this the deed of easement between, there's a witness grantor is Emmitsburg East Industrial Park
Yes. And then a couple pages after that.
with Mr. Reaver's signature, okay, and then there's a blank one.
Yep. And then the next page after that
Certification by Walter C. Martz,
should be Exhibit A.
Exhibit A to be attached, and there's a map.
Should look like this.
Page 59,
Yours is 59.
figured it out.
Okay. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Okay, so yes, as shown, this goes basically from the State Highway Administration's parcel. Rutters will be running their water, or I think their sewer line down through the East Industrial Park utility easement into the wastewater treatment plant. So I believe this was for $5 that Mr. Reaver is giving us this utility easement, which is critical for the Rutters project. And that is my presentation.
I need a motion to accept the Industrial Park 2 easement agreement.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Ritz. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll
second it.
Second by Commissioner Burns. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0-1. One absent.
I pause. I don't know if it's hard for you to hear, everybody does it at the same time. So that's why I
Oh.
was giving you a chance to count there. That's it. Yep.
Alrighty, moving on to agenda item 4, award forestry, stand 10 logging. Bid for consideration.
Okay, thank you very much. As usual, here is our timeline for the bids. We did 30 days on this one. RFP advertisement. Again, we do everything on the website, Facebook, Frederick News Post, MML, and we also have 11 known logging firms that are provided by Department of Natural Resources. We're actually very, very happy about this one. Bids received, these are in alphabetical order. Heavy timber did 42,764.67 and Tipton's Inc. 75,110. We only expected to be about 22,000 on this one, so this is better than expected. Staff meeting dates to review the bids, and our recommendation is to approve Tipton's Inc. Tipton was the logger for stands 5 and 6. Mr. K from DNR inspected the sites after the logging was completed, and he was very satisfied with their work. And they also outbid the other bidder by over 32,000. So we're recommending approval of their bid with 90% of the funds being dedicated to the water fund and 10% to the trail maintenance line item to repair any damage that has been or may be caused by the logging operations. I do have it on the screen here. I'm not sure if you can see it at home, but get a little bit closer here. Stand 10, going back, stand 10's south of Hampton Valley Road. And it's only going to be on the front portion. There's 2 trail crossings that are permitted by this bid. So hopefully that will minimize damage. If there is damage that Mr. K determines is inappropriate, we do have a $5,000 bond requirement. So, and Mr. Vice President, that's my presentation for this one.
Okay, thank you. I need a motion to accept the bids on the forestry stand number 10 to be logged by Tipton.
Make a motion to accept the bid by Tipton for forestry stand number 10.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Burns. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Ritz?
I know when we had initially pursued this with stand number 5, it was Tipton. And at that time, I believe Fitzgerald's, which is Heavy Timber Construction Incorporated. I don't know. I voted no at that time for Tipton's. I know we had some issues with them regarding the trail. I know we're getting more money out of them. I just feel that the other company, as a neighbor to us above the watershed, would be better suited. That's all I have to say for that.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Aye.
Aye.
3 ayes, 1 nay, and 1 absent. Motion carries.
Okay. Next one, yep. Cliff,
Yes.
did they give you the suggested public hearing procedures?
No, they did not.
Okay, can we just do a brief 5-minute recess?
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute recess. Just so I can get the procedures for the public hearing.
Amy, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Yep, you're good. Yep, ready.
I need a motion to end the regular town meeting and to start a public hearing.
I will make a motion that we end our town meeting at this time and open a public hearing.
Is there a second? Is there a
I'll second.
second? I'm
I'll
sorry.
second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any other further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0 to 1. We are now entering into the public hearing. The meeting is to consider resolution 20-21-01R, proposed amendments to chapter 3 of the 2015 comprehensive plan. Staff presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Vice President. Tonight's public hearing was advertised in the Frederick News Post on July 1st, 2021. The advertisement and proposed amendment has also been located on the town's website and Facebook for public review since March of 2021. I'm now asking the town clerk to add resolution 2021-01R and the proposed amendment shown as Exhibit A to the public hearing record, which will be reflected in the meeting minutes. And now I'm going to go to a slideshow presentation. So the main purpose of the proposed amendment to Chapter 3 of the 2015 Comprehensive Plan is to update the 2015 Emmitsburg growth boundary map. Properties that are not in the growth boundary are unable to be annexed into the town. The amendment also includes error corrections and updates throughout Chapter 3. The Planning Commission, Mayor, and town staff are recommending adding the following 3 properties to the town growth boundary. 17-443 Irishtown Road. We consider this for meeting purposes as property A. A picture of the property is shown on the screen. Next, 17-439 Irishtown Road. For meeting purposes, property B. Picture of the property is shown on the screen. Parcel 05-172233 as property C. No address is currently assigned to this property. A picture of the property is on your screen. The Planning Commission, Mayor, and town staff are recommending changing the proposed zoning classifications of the following 4 properties, which are already included on the town's growth boundary. The first is 17-381 North Seaton Avenue, better known as the McNair property, as property D. A picture of the property is shown on the screen. 17-319 North Seaton Avenue, property E. Picture is shown on the screen. And we will go into more detail here shortly. 17-307 North Seaton Avenue, property F. Picture is shown on your screen. Here is the picture of the proposed updated Emmitsburg growth boundary map. The Planning Commission, Mayor, and town staff are proposing to add properties A and B to the growth boundary under the low density residential R1 zoning classification. Let me get a little bit closer here for you. Excuse me, the growth boundary under the low density R1 zoning classification, and property C under the general commercial B2 zoning classification. The proposed zoning classifications of property A and B are consistent with the neighboring residential developments of Brookfield and Northgate, which are also zoned R1. The proposed zoning of designation of property C as an appropriate use near a major highway, which is US Route 15. If the proposed amendment is approved, the property owners of A, B, And C, may apply to have their properties annexed into the town boundary. The town has been approached by the property owner of Lot A or Property A, and they wish to annex in order to create a residential development that would be an extension of Northgate. This development is proposed to yield 48 single-family dwellings. In order to remain consistent and create uniformity with the R1 zoning classification, property B has been added to the growth boundary. We can't have gaps in the map. So property A would be required to, negotiate with B to see if they would be willing to annex as well. In order to be annexed, we can't have donut holes in the map. So let me see. This is a close-up of parcel C, the Daughters of Charity. Owner of property C has agreed to provide the town a 25-year forest conservation easement on their property so the town can plant trees in order to satisfy our MS4 permitting requirements. The Daughters of Charity have no intentions of developing this property at this time. It should be noted that the annexation of property C will not create an unincorporated enclave prohibited by Maryland Code annotated local government section 4-401 because the property is bounded on one side by Creamery Road, a Frederick County road. And our attorney wanted to mention that C, Anne Arundel County versus City of Annapolis, 352 Maryland, 117, 1998. Yes.
Sorry, I want to point out something. I think you just clarified it when you said that Creamery Road. So right here, the Lindsay property, because of the road, if we do add this into the growth ground, if we do add C into the growth boundary, the property owned by Mr. and Mrs. Lindsay, which is which
Yes.
I just pointed out, it would not create an enclave, correct?
That's what our attorney's stating.
Okay.
However, we had recent discussions about this, and there's a possibility we would have to take over that portion of Creamery Road. However, we haven't made that decision yet to bring it to the board.
It's like a unique little
It is, but
area there.
the Lindsays are, we've been in discussion with the Lindsays, and they are thinking about annexing into the town as well.
Oh, well, how about
So-
that? Okay.
All right, so let's see. D, we are proposing to change property D zoning classification from low density residential R1 to medium density residential R2. The proposed zoning classification is consistent with the neighboring residential development of Silo Hill, which is also zoned R2. The town has been approached by a developer who wishes to build 29 townhomes and 34 single-family dwellings on this property. The R2 zoning district will allow townhomes to be built and R1 would not. The developer's engineer stated that due to the topography of the land and the town zoning regulations, such as setbacks, minimum lot frontage, minimum lot sizes, etc., they would have to do a mix of townhomes and single-family dwellings. And they can't just do all single families or it won't be financially feasible for the developer. Property E is the former location of an auction and the current location of a thrift store. The county has the property designated as commercial. In order to continue the commercial use if annexed into town, we're proposing changing the zoning classifications from R1 to neighborhood commercial B1. We have no interest at this time to annex that property. Property F is the location of an auto repair business. The county has the property designated as commercial. In order to continue the commercial use if annexed into the town, we're proposing changing the zoning classifications from R1 low density residential to neighborhood commercial B1. Again, we have no interest from that owner to annex at this time. It's just some error upgrades. Property G is the location of a restaurant. The county has the property designated as commercial. In order to continue the commercial use, if annexed into town, we are proposing changing the zoning classification from R1 to neighborhood commercial B1. Again, just another error correction. It is very important to note that approval of updating the growth map in no way bounds the town to annex the parcels previously mentioned. The property owners will need to apply for annexation, which ultimately must be approved by the mayor and board of commissioners. The residents also have the opportunity to reject the proposed annexation via referendum vote. A minimum of 20% of the registered voters in the town or 2/3 of the county's governing board can trigger a referendum vote. So moving on, the first planning commission meeting to review the proposed amendment was held on March 29th, 2021, in which the planning commission forwarded the amendment to Frederick County and Maryland planning departments for the state mandated 60-day review period. Let me turn back to this. The 60-day review period was between March 30th, 2021 and May 30th, 2021. No comments were received from Frederick County. I'm now asking the town clerk to add Exhibit B to the public hearing record, which will be reflected in the meeting minutes. Exhibit B includes the comments received from the state of Maryland agencies on May 27th, 2021, which are also in your packet. As a response to various comments from the state of Maryland agencies, the Planning Commission made the following adjustments to the proposed amendment. Amendment page 3.1 added a sentence that zoning changes for properties located outside the town boundary would occur as part of the annexation process. They just wanted that as a clarification. Amendment pages 3-1 and 3-3 replace parcel ID numbers with property addresses where applicable. Amendment page 3-6 deleted town and county growth area disparities. Amendment page 3-7 added a total column to figure 3-2, which shows the total acreage of the town if the boundary would expand as suggested in the 2021 Emmitsburg growth boundary map. All other comments received by the state of Maryland have not been addressed in the proposed amendment, as the Planning Commission determined, and with the mayor and town staff, that they would be better addressed during the mandatory update to the comprehensive plan in 2025. It is also important to note that the comments received from either Frederick County or the state of Maryland are only advisory and are not mandatory. The Planning Commission held their state mandated public hearing on June 28th, 2021. One member of the public spoke during the hearing's public comments. Miss Amy Bowman of 328 Mountaineers Way requested a heavy tree buffering along the proposed South Seaton Avenue to Fraley, actually West Main Street Road, if the Fraley Farm project ever comes to fruition, which the property is for sale currently. After the hearing, the Planning Commission recommended approval of Resolution 2021-01R. The motion passed with 4 votes in favor, 0 against, and 1 abstention. Commissioner Ritz abstained. Tonight, July 12th, 2021, is the state mandated legislative body's public hearing, and final recommendation vote is scheduled for after the hearing. Here is a close-up, which we briefly discussed previously in the meeting, of West Main Street to South Seaton Avenue Collector Road. With developers reaching out to the town regarding the Fraley Farm property, which is currently for sale, town staff needs guidance from the board if we should pursue the proposed West Main Street to South Seaton Avenue Collector Road. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to keep the Collector Road in the comprehensive plan. Staff reached out to the Daughters of Charity, and they have agreed preliminary to provide the town the necessary easement in order to put the road through their property. The developer would be required to pay for the road as a part of the Fraley Farm development. Basically, we're just seeking a little bit of feedback. We don't recommend changing the comprehensive plan as it is now. Based on this, we recommend changing it at such time as if the annexation would come in. But we just need a little bit of guidance so we can let developers know, yes, this is going to be a cost you're going to incur, or no, that's something the board's most likely not going to recommend. So if there's any comments on that, we would appreciate.
The Fraley property, is that the piece that's in between the 2 blue lines?
That's correct. Yep. So you can see it goes through, and as the mayor stated, they would have to buy the property on West Main Street. Let me see if I got the pen. There we go. They would have to purchase this property here, which is never a guarantee. They would also have to receive Maryland Department of Transportation approval, and probably a light would have to go here or a roundabout. So I don't know if that would ever get approved. And again, on South Seaton Avenue, it would also have to get state approval. Not sure if a light would be required here or not, but that would be up to the state. And as you can see, it goes through the Daughters of Charity property into the town park and through the Fraley property. This was just recommended by the Planning Commission and the board at that time in 2015. I believe it was in the 2009 comprehensive plan as well. It doesn't have to look like this. You know, it could go up here or over there or wherever, but it's just a recommendation. The state would ultimately have to decide if the board and the mayor agreed to allow them to put this in. But that's my presentation, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you. Is there any questions on the proposal at hand?
Is this up open? Is this open to public comment at the time? I know we had someone
Yeah,
from
Amy Brown was
earlier.
on there, yes, I was.
That's the next
looking
one, the next
Okay.
item.
The commissioner questions are first.
Yep.
yeah. And we're on commissioner comments first about it, and then on the next one is the public comment.
I'll be more than happy to speak on it. I think everybody knows my opinion on this. I think I stated it pretty clearly at the start of
Yeah.
the meeting. And and now I think Commissioner, everybody's now seeing that map a little bit more clearly. I just have serious reservations on this. And, you know, at the end of the day, the amount of hoops that anybody's going to have to jump through in order for this to get done. And as Mr. Golden said, it's going to be required for the developer of Fairley Farm to do this. We're asking them to not only buy that property for, I think it's listed at 2.4 million now. And then correct me if I'm wrong, they have to buy the property on Main Street and then put another probably $1 million in order to put this road in as well. I'm at a loss for words for all of this, but I think it's ridiculous personally.
Commissioner Davis?
Well, while I agree with what was just said, you know, if there's a developer out there that's willing to put that money in, you know, that's not for us to say he's crazy to do it. So, you know, there's just too many unknown answers for me right now to say, no, we have to scrap it. You know, there's just more stuff that we have to know. And we want the town to grow. It can't take much more traffic. I keep looking at the little bypass of what you have going around Thurmont on the East Main Street going out into, I guess it comes over onto Frederick Road. And, you know, I travel that every now and then, but it's not highly traveled, but it does take a little bit of the traffic away. So I don't know, just too many unanswered questions that to scrap it right now.
Commissioner Ritz?
Yeah, I guess, you know, looking at this, it looks like the bottom of the bypass is close to the creek. Would be at the very back of the disc golf course, which I remember. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I voted against that disc golf course. I was a little concerned about the swampiness down there near the bottom. Now we potentially could have a bypass kind of close to it, but I don't want to, I don't want to hold everything up. Obviously, I think, in my opinion, I feel that this growth boundary needs to be, you know, voted on tonight, so we can potentially look to annex some properties into town. But I personally feel the need for a bypass. I like the idea that we can tweak this, so to speak. We're not locked into this potential design.
Right, which
But I'm rambling on. I'm just thinking out loud here. Sorry, but no, I'm good then. Thank you.
When I was working on the comprehensive plan, when I was on the planning and zoning, when we first started revising them, they said it's best to put everything you want on the plan because it's
Yes.
hard to put it on because you gotta wait every 5 years, 5 or 7 years to get it on.
You have to go through this very lengthy process that
Yes,
we just did.
and that's why I think they added it at the time, just so they would have it. That doesn't mean you have to put it in, but it's for, and just in case you want to put it in.
Cool. Okay.
What is your thoughts?
Any
Cliff,
other discussion?
So I can know.
Oh, I'm in favor for the annexation of the property, and I have no problem with the collector road as presented. I know it's gonna be costly. Whoever does it's gonna have to pay a lot to have it done.
Mhm. Okay, thank you. Just so staff knows what kind of direction to give any future developer. It sounds like I can tell them there's a little bit of a split, which is fine, but it's just something we'll need to discuss at the annexation process.
I agree that the annexation needs to occur. I'm not arguing the annexation in any way, shape, or form. I just have problems with some of the things that are involved in the annexation. I think the growth boundaries need to be extended. I think that's great for the town. I think the expansion of the town is great. I think there's parts of the comprehensive plan and that need to be readdressed when the time comes.
Okay. Any other discussion before we go into public comment? We have one person signed up for public comment, Amy Boheim, Bowman. Miss Bowman, are you still there?
I am still here, and now I know. Now I know. Given the opportunity to speak earlier, I will take it. um, Good evening. My name is Amy Bowman Pollitt. My family and I live at 328 Mountaineers Way in Southgate. And I understand from, looking at the comprehensive plan that, there is the idea of the collector road through the Daughters of Charity land off of South Seaton Avenue in the event that the Fraley Farm is sold and it actually does come to fruition with a housing development. I do have concerns about the location of the road. I had a chance to speak with Zach already about some of the details. I can't say that I'm in favor of the road. I do understand the idea is to ease the traffic. I'm completely for the idea of wanting more housing in Emmitsburg to help increase, our property value. I'm just concerned about how this road might impact our town long term. So points I wanted to just open up for future consideration is, first of all, the noise level that not only will bring to the development, but also to the park, which is a very quiet place to be. It's probably the quietest place to be in Emmitsburg right now. So if this collector road were to go through, I would just like to suggest that maybe there are specific regulations that could be placed on the road so that we don't get certain types of big rig trucks. Although at the same time, that's not going to keep motorcycles from zooming down there at all hours of the night. I know it sounds hard to believe, but we can currently hear the noise from 15 in Southgate. So the idea of bringing a road even closer is not exactly the most appealing. I do understand from Zach that the Daughters of Charity asked for a heavily forested buffer area between the road and the land. Although heavily forested is a subjective term. So, they're heavily forested, our heavily forested might be very different. So I'm interested in hearing the details if the time ever comes for the types and size and number of trees that will be added to that area. And possible, to add lots of pine, because in the winter time, if the trees are off or the leaves are off the trees, there's going to be no noise buffer whatsoever. Also wondering if there's going to be any kind of traffic study to see, like I heard some of you talking about, well, what exactly would be going down that road? Like, so will there be traffic studies in the future to take a look at this more closely before decisions are made? Are the fields that are closest to the development still able to be used for the farmers' fields? We have corn growing back there right now. That provides a great buffer. And like Commissioner Burns mentioned, upon closer inspection of the map and where the collector road would go, it does look like it's not at the farthest end of the field, and I don't know if that's because of floodplains or whatnot. It looks to me maybe like a third of the way through the field, through the Daughters of Charity land. And then, yes, it looks like it's going to go right through the park and the disc golf course, which I also was opposed to the disc golf course originally. And now I have to say, I love it. I hike that trail all the time with my family and my dog, and I find it to be very pleasant. And now I would hate to see it get disrupted, believe it or not. Go figure, I flip-flopped on that issue. And then just the idea of ongoing costs to maintain a road like that. But thank you very much, as always, for your time and consideration. And I do appreciate the opportunity to express ideas concerning the comprehensive plan.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowman, for your input, but none of this is set in concrete. This is only all just future prospects, I guess it would be, because we did have a northern bypass on the other comprehensive plan that was on there for 30 or 40 years and never came through. This is just for in case 30 or 40 years from now somebody wants to maybe put one in. I might not be here, you might not be here, but they might be able to do something different with different technology in the future. So it's just to be put in just for, because it takes such a long time to add things to the comprehensive plan. So, I don't know what else to say. I don't see it happening in my lifetime. I don't think so, but, because I've been waiting for the other one, but it never happens, so.
I do appreciate that. I know I wasn't sure if I should even come tonight to say anything after I spoke with Zach, but he suggested, just to formally come and have my comments in the record. So I just thought I'd do that.
Well, thank
Well,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for sticking in there so long.
Thank you.
And one thing I failed to mention, Mr.
Yes.
Vice Chairman, that she brought up a good point. The daughters, I have been in contact with the daughters the past few months regarding this, because I know it was going to cause discussion at the planning commission level and also here. The daughters have no intentions of developing this parcel here that connects to South Seaton Avenue. Zero intentions the current board has. So they even suggested that, if and ever the Fraley farm would be developed, they would even give easements to the proposed developer to plant all of their forest requirements on their property. So again, it would be heavily forested. There's just a possibility. They want to see some kind of a green space go here, even if it doesn't stay farmland, either trees or they even talked about solar possibly. But just wanted to throw it out there. And also for the traffic study, our code does require traffic studies for any development. So that's one protection that the town does have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, I don't think we have anybody else signed up for public comment, so I'm going to go ahead and close the public comment session. And now we will deliberate with the commissioners, decide whether we want this to pass or not.
Well,
Need a
I'll speak
motion?
first. if that's Okay. You want to make a motion and then have comments?
Yeah, we'll deliberate first. We'll go ahead and we'll speak first.
Okay, yeah, I agree with everything that Mrs. Bowman said, and also with, Commissioner Burns. There's a lot of unanswered questions. I just don't want to see us put this out to pasture and not have an option if something new would come out of this that would work, that everybody would be in favor of. But there's a lot of unanswered questions that I'm not, going to say, yes, I would vote for it to happen, but I'd like to have it still on the table.
Commissioner Burns?
I'm in agreement with Commissioner Davis. I think I spoke pretty strongly about everything in regards to that one particular item. I do believe the Emmitsburg growth boundary does need to be extended. I think the potential for future homes is going to be a great benefit for the town and its future development. And if and when the time comes, obviously we'll readdress that situation when needed. But as for the growth boundaries, yes, I'm in agreement that it needs to happen, and the unknown questions for the future, I think, can be readdressed when the time is appropriate.
Thank you. Commissioner Ritz?
I just wanted to thank Mr. Golden for explaining the process, the growth boundaries, and then going forward, once this happens, how the annexation works and who's all involved. So thank you for I had it on my list to ask, but you beat me to it. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm all ready to vote on this. I'm happy
also
with it.
ready to go ahead and vote on it. I need a motion to end the. Do we have to vote first? Yes.
No, end the public hearing first.
Okay, I need the motion to end the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to end the public hearing.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Ritz. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Burns. All in favor of ending the public hearing, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0 to 1. I need a motion to reopen the town meeting. Do I need a motion for that?
That was the motion.
Okay.
To end and then restart.
Okay. We are restarting the town meeting. So now we need a motion to accept the. Let me see. Code section 1708, is that what it is?
No, resolution 2021-01R.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021-01R, which is an amendment to chapter 3 of the 2015 comprehensive plan.
Motion be made by Commissioner Ritz. Is there a second?
I'll second.
it.
It's a tie.
Second's been made by Commissioner Davis. Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0-1. We are now at agenda item number 7. Renaming ballfield number 7 in Memorial Park. Commissioner Davis.
Well, this should be very short and sweet. After doing more research, the ball field was named back in the late 60s. It was called Richard McCullough Memorial Park. So I don't think we should take that away. Hopefully we'll find another way to honor Coach Phelan.
Okay. Thank you. Agenda item number 8 is postponed. Says tentative. Okay, number 9, approval of resolution 21-6R, State of Maryland's Capital Grants Project Water Clarifier Grant.
That's mine. Back to agenda item number 7. Is it going to be something that we bring back, or is it just being withdrawn? You want to, Commissioner Davis, you want to look into it some more and then we can add it back?
Yeah, there has been some other talk about ways to honor the coach with the big impact that he has had on Emmitsburg for all these years. But I don't think we should actually change the name of it. And we should probably actually eventually get a sign up and maybe do a little dedication. He does still have family in the area. Mr. McCullough does, so.
Yeah, because that's news to me on that ball field. So what, for a minute's sake, we'll withdraw this agenda item with the reasonings that Commissioner Davis stated, and then whenever you're ready, we can bring it back.
That's
Okay.
perfect, thanks.
Now, Kathy, you got number 9?
I do. I apologize if my dogs start barking. It's storming pretty bad out there and they're not happy. Resolution 21-06R approval. It's the State of Maryland Capital Grants Project Water Clarifier grant submittal authorization for consideration. As you know, Senator Howe worked hard to get us $1 million grant in the governor's fiscal year 22 budget. With that award, we're required to submit a grant agreement on some other documentation to the state of Maryland. And I've been working with them on the process because it's not one that the town's ever received. And it was also one of the seminars I attended at the summer conference. So basically, this is a resolution, which you've seen many of these, that authorizes the town to apply for the funding. The town of Emmitsburg is eligible to receive funds from the state of Maryland through the Maryland Capital Grants Program. With estimated total cost of a new clarifier is $1,506,125. to continue to maintain the town's water quality, reduce damage to water treatment plant, and reduce the wasting of water through backwashes. State of Maryland awarded $1 million through their capital project grant to assist with the design and construction of the water filter or water clarifier is what it should state. That will need to be changed. Pending approval of the town's application, execution of grant agreement by the Board of Public Works. So we'll apply to the Board of Public Works, and from what they say in the conference, that if they've already granted you the money, as long as your application is in order, they'll grant it. I am the point of contact that will receive $1 million. If the application and grant agreement are approved, the town of Emmitsburg would be required to contribute the remaining cost of $506,125. Now therefore it be resolved that the commissioners for the town of Emmitsburg authorize the submittal of an application and grant agreement for state financial assistance in the construction of the new water clarifier. It also authorizes the mayor and myself to empower to execute any and all documents required for the submission of the grant agreement. One thing I did learn, that even though we've already started work on the clarifier, this project's approved, we can still submit for all the reimbursements, which is good. So I just need the approval of the resolution, and I'll continue with the application.
Thank you. I need a motion to accept the approval of the resolution 21-6R, State of Maryland's capital grants project water clarifier grants submittal authorization.
I would like to make that motion, but I have a question first, and it's just a simple, it's related to the motion.
Yeah.
Ms. Willits indicated, was there a typo that something was going to be modified? I believe it was the
Right,
third, whereas.
The third paragraph, whereas it says design and construction of the water filter, it should be the water clarifier. So that will be the only change.
So I was going to proceed then making a motion of that resolution as modified.
That's fine.
I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 21-06R. The State of Maryland Capital Grants Project Water Clarifier Grant Submittal Authorization as modified.
Motion's been made by
I'll second.
Commissioner Ritz. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Davis. Any other discussion before we vote? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. 4-0 to 1. That is the end of our agenda items. We are now on to the next meeting agenda for August the 2nd.
Right.
Kathy,
Yes, I have several items. Number 1 will be the approval of 2021 election judges for consideration. And if you missed it at the beginning of the meeting, anybody interested, we need 2 more election judges. Number 2, it'll be a proclamation declaring August 3rd, 2021 National Night Out in Emmitsburg. Number 3, approval of resolution 21-05R to repeal the charter of the town of Emmitsburg in its entirety. Number 4, approval of charter amendment 21-01CA for consideration. Number 5.
1 second, Kathy.
Yeah.
Leslie said that's not needed now. Just the resolution.
Number 4 is not needed.
that's
Correct.
what they said.
Correct.
The town attorney said that number 4 was not needed. So we're taking that one off?
I guess, but that doesn't make any sense to me. So I may have an additional agenda item that I'll send forth once I get some clarification, because I don't understand how you can repeal the charter and not have anything follow it up. So,
1 second. Let Maddie explain it.
okay.
Sorry, Kathy.
It's okay.
The charter the charter amendment needs a separate number, but it's going to just be attached to the resolution. And so when I emailed Clark and Leslie today, they said just the resolution's fine because the charter amendment would be attached to that.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so yes, we can scratch that. So then number 4 would be hold public hearing and final vote on ordinance 2021-12, which would amend town code section 1708190. Number 5 would be approval of policy P21-03, review fees for consideration. Number 6, approval of ordinance 2021-09, comprehensive update to Title 6, animals for consideration. And
Is
then
that the chicken ordinance?
the chicken and other animal ordinance,
Got it.
hopefully to deal with the issues we had with some of the aggressive dogs in town and some other things that we want to tackle. Number 7 will be the approval of an access easement on the wastewater treatment property for the Frederick County Relief Program, and authorize mayor to sign on behalf of the town for consideration. That's what I have.
Kathy, can I add one thing for tentative? I'm sorry, I
Okay.
should have. Rutters may bring a stream restoration easement. So if we could do a tentative stream restoration easement deed of easement.
Can you say it again?
Yeah, sure. Rutter's stream restoration deed of easement with the town. That's tentative,
For consideration.
please.
Okay,
Is there any administrative business?
no.
How about consent agenda?
No.
Okay, so we have, number 1 is approval of election judges. Number 2 is proclamation of on August the 3rd, National Night Out. Number 3 will be resolution -21-05. Number 4 will be a public hearing for 2021-12. Number 5 would be policy 21-03. Number 6 would be 20-21-09 animals ordinance.
Yes.
Number 7 will be easement relief program. Is that what it is?
That is the number 8 that's on your current packet. It's an access easement on the wastewater treatment property for Frederick County's relief program.
Okay. And number 8 will be Rutter's stream restoration tentative deed easement.
Yes.
Okay. As we just need a consent for this.
Yes.
We need to vote. Okay.
Yeah.
All in favor of the agenda is set. Please say aye.
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 4-0-1.
In case anyone saw me up here fiddling with my phone, I just sent Ms. Willetts an email. I had a question regarding the repeal of the charter. And
I need a motion to close the town meeting.
thanks. I'll make a motion to close it.
Motion's been made by Commissioner Ritzer, second.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Burns. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0-1. Thanks, everybody, for being here at this long meeting. Meeting ends at 10:30.